It's probably toss. Why was France so bad? That's a good question. Let's answer that. Let's answer that question. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the Armchair Historian. Today's video, why was the French military so preoccupied with eating baguettes instead of fighting the Second World
offensive.
War?
I actually wonder. I actually have no idea.
The swift capitulation of France in 1940 is often attributed to a surprise attack through the Benelux and left at that.
Always interesting. What would have happened if Germany would have gotten stuck in France, right? Would have been very interesting. How will they have used A? Will they have joined like in Europe and stuff? Interesting question.
To consider why
Still think Germany would have got
so vulnerable to a surprise attack in the first place. Today we'll be discussing three major reasons for France's defeat in 1940. Economic woes, increasing civilian control over the military, and a conservative military philosophy. We'll also evaluate German and French military equipment to decide whether the factor played a significant...
I remember for 3 years I've been streaming HOI4 and you guys just have been always telling me, did you know that the French actually had better tanks than the Germans? Like I had to read that so many times on the stream.
The two powers. Let's begin by evaluating the state of the French army from 1918 up until 1936. A period characterized by a gradual decline.
I always like this debuff you have in HOI 4, which explains this very well. Victors of the Great War. As the UK and France won the First World War, they got a bit arrogant in a way that, we won the world anyway. We won the war, we don't have to invest in the military. The current military doctrines are fine. That's clever, man.
French
clever.
Military prowess.
That makes total sense, right?
Immediately after the First World War, France experienced a brain drain, with many rich, educated, and experienced officers resigning. This is not surprising, since such things happen after every war, but the French seem to believe that a lasting peace was finally reached, with many genuinely trusting that the League of Nations could prevent future wars. Massive military budget cuts ensued.
League of Nations is like the predecessor to the European Union in a way, right? A European community.
These budget cuts were largely the result of a dire economic situation. After the First World War, France was nearly bankrupt. And just as the situation in France
can't believe I almost made a 100 rating
all-time
today,
low,
that's sick.
Germany was beginning to experience an upswing. Paul-Marie de la Gourse writes that, by 1936, the economic and financial situation of France had never been worse. These economic woes, compounded with Germany's resurgence as a major power, directly translated to France's...
As a German, it always hurts seeing this. We used to be so big here, man.
Fear of influence
diminishing
as
That's why I always said... You know, I don't understand Nazis in Germany. They always, oh, Hitler, we need the Führer back. Hitler, he's the greatest. I always feel like Hitler is the worst thing that ever happened to Germany. If Hitler wouldn't have happened, we will look like this right now. Like, I never... How can he even... He's the worst thing that ever happened. Fucking snitches? Oh, my Cody, they snitched hard, bro.
Trade partners now looked elsewhere. To make matters worse, the problems of the French military apparatus were exacerbated by the civilian sector's increasingly tight hold on the army and bureaucracy. This was the result of a political chasm between the extreme left-wing Popular Front and the center-right coalition.
You see that in HOI4 a lot, right? The Reds are very strong there.
As many military positions as possible.
Oh, we have a new team member already. I'm ready, Jake.
The military against the other. In short, loyalty was...
It was a good plus with Smokoni. I laughed my ass off.
So it was the bureaucrats who got all the promotions. As a result of having a non-military bureaucracy run by...
Like, this is just the truth. This has nothing to do with opinions. Every fucking German asks themselves in their life, man, or they think this, man, Hitler should have stopped after Sudetenland. He should have stopped. All the Germans said that in their life, they fought it in their life. What if Hitler would have stopped after Sudetenland, man? All the Germans think that, man.
Experience and
that's just the truth.
Of experienced generals, the French military philosophy...
Every time Germans get drunk, old Germans, oh, well, we almost did it, huh? Oh, we almost did it.
Miksha put it best, stating that the Maginot Line was a formidable barrier, not so much against the German army as against French understanding of modern war.
Yeah, it's like the French didn't understand what tanks are and quick spearhead.
It was impenetrable in the same way that the Titanic was unsinkable. It had weak spots, And in 1940, Hitler's forces were able to breach the line through the Ardennes forest, since the French were of the mistaken conviction
there's no date for 20 hours stream, but soon.
Any German tank attacks. Again, the problem
something I never understood, and we talked about this before on stream. Here's something I never understood in my entire life. You have France, right? Bam, World War II. Guderian and his Panzer Corps are breaking through in the Ardennes, which is like, I don't know, here or some shit, right? Then, I think I'm doing this right. Heinz Guderian was leading the spearhead doing this. He did the Sichelschnitt, encircling the Allies here, leading to the downfall of France. Right? Right. One thing that I never understood is, if you think about how and again, whatever. So, Heinz Guderian is going through here. Now, my mouse is Heinz, right? He's leading it. This is Heinz Guderian. So, let's say, hypothetically, he's now at Simit. This entire area here must be full of holes. So if the French want to bring logistics to their army, there must be so many loopholes behind Guderian. I never fully understand. There must have been so many, as Guderian is rushing to the coast of, I don't even know, Calais, like here. As he's rushing to the coast, there must be so much openings. You can't tell me that the German army is always... The French army was mostly deep in Belgium. Well, the French don't know where Germans are. So if you don't know, so let's say Heinz Guderian was like here. I'm a French supply truck, right? I'm driving supplies to my friends. There's a high chance I'm not even going to meet Germans, bro, because they're like going so deep, man. My supply truck will still go through. The worst French troops were defending that area. Yeah, that's also not the question.
Military philosophy. Standard military strategy states that, in order to win, you need a superior force. The French interpreted this statement to mean that they needed superior strength across the whole front line. The Germans, on the other hand, focused on bolstering their strength at one or two carefully selected points, and then launching an aggressive attack, using fast, light vehicles, dive bombers, and fighters all in unison. Now that we've compared
that was my they're not encircled yet, though.
And German military philosophies, let's compare military equipment to come to a conclusion about the extent to which it decided a German victory. One can make the assertion that French infantry was in some ways superior to German infantry.
Yeah, you guys always say that.
Not only did the French have superior numbers and
and I just learned that like last year, the Germans were legit on drugs. I never knew that. They gave them Panzerschokolade, which was chocolate with crystal meth. Methamphetamines to make them more boosted. I never knew that, actually, to be honest.
It was more
my fucking great grandpa was a fucking crackhead, bro.
Than the Wehrmacht. Theoretically, French armor should have also enjoyed an advantage over its German counterpart. The French Char B1 bis heavy tank was virtually impenetrable from the front, and the Soma
fucking
S35
heavy tanks here.
Medium tank
thank you, sir. This makes you wet.
Had more durable armor than that of the German panzers. However, one could argue that Germany used its tanks more effectively. Germany's tank battalions were composed of independent, lightly armored tank divisions, and as previously discussed, their speed was harnessed to surprise the French. The Germans also employed wireless technology, each tank being equipped with radio receivers to relay and mobilize battalions at a pace that the French, who used flags instead of radios, simply couldn't match.
What the fuck, man?
For the Air Forces
of the Middle Ages, mate?
The French Armée de
the
l'Air
fuck? They used
was
flags?
At a disadvantage numerically.
Were they white?
High levels of French aircraft
it's a joke.
The French had very few spare parts for their aircraft, and consequently could neither prepare or repair their planes for service as fast as the Germans. Still, French fighters generally outperformed their German foes, with 2 German fighters being down for every 1 French fighter.
Oh.
Overall, we can see that France held a slight advantage when it came to their military equipment, but a poor military philosophy completely negated this advantage. It should not come as a surprise that this faulty military philosophy was upheld when one remembers the brain drain we discussed previously. At a fundamental level, what the French lacked was imagination,
Does this guy live in a house from the 1600s?
To learn from the First World War. The French were rudely awakened from a dream of peace that lasted just a bit too long, having fallen asleep under the false sense of security provided to them by the League of Nations. Now on to today's sponsor, Skillshare.
Link us the video so we can support. True, yeah, you have to do that. Fuck, can someone link the video I just watched? I'm still new to this reaction shit. Yeah, this is the video that explains. So I was raising this question on stream. Look, I understood that Germany went for the Ardennes and encircled this area. But I always was suggesting, why are they encircled? Don't they have supplies coming from sea? Don't they have trucks coming in? if Heinz Guderian and his dudes are literally rushing through here, isn't there a lot of open slots for supply trucks to go through? But you guys telling me it's about organization. So let's get educated how Germany did that in France, because I don't know.
Itself in a war with Britain and France.
Let's take a look.
At that time, the strength of the sides was similar, but the Allies had a significant long-term advantage, and in the following years could field a much stronger army.
Big Germany was at that time, man. All this shit here, Jesus Christ, man.
The victory was to defeat the Allies as soon as possible. It set out for an all-out attack.
And we know that. Thank you, FXP.
This video is sponsored by War Thunder. More on that later.
More on that later. I like that guy. Dude, look at that map. You know what this reminds me of instantly? What does this remind you of? And if you know the answer, I feel fucking bad for you. Hertz of Fire and Free instantly. There, Hertz of Fire and Free. That's how Hertz of Fire and Free looks like, which is kind of cool. But then you play it and it's fucking.
France had 2,200,000 men in 104 divisions.
2 million men.
They were
Jesus.
supported by the British Expeditionary
Thank you, Stalin. What's up?
The size of 500,000 men. This made the Allied and the German forces roughly equal.
Sometimes I even think it would have been better if France would have just kept Germany in check. I don't know. Hitler wouldn't have gotten so arrogant. And the Nazis would have gotten beaten faster, maybe? Or, you know what I mean?
France had prepared to defend its borders. Its southern flank was covered by the Rhine River and the Vosges Hills, and needed few additional defenses. Further north, the Franco-German border didn't have the benefit of natural obstacles.
Dude, this is like the historical right numbers? Dude, this looks so like Hertz of Fire and Free. If you never played Hertz of Fire and Free, this is legit how Hertz of Fire and Free looks like. It's just a number simulator.
Had built the strongest defenses on the Maginot line, which was held.
I wish that Steel Division 3 would make a campaign with this front line. It would be so cool.
Forces.
Or like a little cut from it.
The French army and the British forces were on the Franco-Belgian border. They could be used to hold the northern part of the French border, or to reinforce the Maginot line or the Belgian army if Germany was to invade. The French had more tanks than the Germans, but they had dispersed many of them among their
After all, and I
infantry.
just mean this, I don't want to celebrate any Nazi shit. I mean, I don't have to even say that anymore. We live in this time now. Here's a disclaimer. Obviously, I don't want Hitler to win, and I don't like Nazis. Mamba lie. If you think that shit, you need to get that stick out of your ass. I'm just saying, on objectively, that this military move that Germany pulled here was fucking insane, man. I think I once read the Wikipedia of Heinz Guderian, and after the war, English officers have invited him to discuss tactics and shit, and he wrote a book and stuff that sold very well.
And could only
Strategically, this was a fucking insane move, man.
Divisions. The Germans had deployed their tanks in single units,
Which made Guderian immortal. Didn't he even go against the orders of the Führer and shit? They didn't want him to do this and he just did it?
At first, they would invade the Low Countries.
You
This
own
would
that
have
book?
the Allies to commit their forces to Belgium, so they were not able to counter the real German attack in the south. The main German tank force would move through the Ardennes region and break through at the weakest part of the French defenses, then extend the offensive towards the coast and cut
What
off
am I playing?
the Allied forces.
Agar IO?
In
Jesus.
order to move into the Low Countries, Germany would have to pass through their defensive lines.
That's a very detailed
Germany
video.
exploited the fact that these nations were not at war and had therefore not fully manned their defenses. They were able to launch an airborne assault and capture a section of both Dutch and Belgian lines. Now the paratroopers had to hold out until they would be reinforced by the land forces. Learning of the German invasion, the Allies now had to decide how to intervene in Belgium. They could.
Can you guys name any video game where you play in this period? Where you play like the Allies in this period? In the beginning? I couldn't. Like, I'm talking of FPS games like Battlefield and shit. You know, you're never really there. You're like D-Day, Russia, right? Africa, Postscriptum? Oh, really? Battlefield 5 has a map like this.
Into Western Belgium,
Postscriptum,
or they
true.
could deploy most of them in the central part of the country. They wanted to give Belgium maximum assistance and went for the latter. They also sent part of the troops to help the Netherlands, fully deploying their forces. In Belgium, the Germans were able
Dude, that's
to link
so
up
Hertz of
with
Fire
their
and Free.
airborne
Jesus
forces.
Christ.
With
This looks
Belgian
way too real.
defenses breached, the Belgian army began pulling back to
Holy
central
crap,
Belgium.
man.
In the north,
Isn't that crazy how many millions of dudes are involved in the war and how much organization is involved, man? Fucking hell.
the Germans advanced into the
So
gap
much shit
between the
going
Belgian
on.
and the Dutch defenses and linked up with the paratroopers.
I hear the
forming
tanks
part
are
of
just
the Dutch
walking
line.
through, man.
This
And
allowed-
here's my suggestion. Why I'm watching this video? This openness, wouldn't you use that? I mean, in Heufoy, you would walk in here. That's my question, which I want to see now in France. Wouldn't this openness be used by your
part of the
enemies?
tank forces behind the Dutch main line. When the Germans threatened to launch a terror bombing campaign against the Dutch cities, the Netherlands surrendered. At the same time, the tank divisions further south had overrun Luxembourg.
Oh,
and
look at all
pushed
these
aside the Allied
tanks. Jesus,
treaty
man.
units.
That is some
Soon, they
Heufoy
reached
shit
the
now.
prepared French
He
defensive
explains it
lines.
later.
The Germans launched a massive aerial bombardment. The French second-rate divisions could not withstand
Very well
the
animated, by
attack
the way,
by
by
the
this
best
YouTuber.
German units, and the Germans were able to breach the defenses. The French thought that the Germans wanted to outflank the main body of the Maginot line by moving south and concentrated on that direction.
Yo, one sec, I want to check something, because I was part of any of these divisions. Sounds weird, but the tank division that I was in was the child of one of these divisions. 33. Panzerdivision. This is where I was. And this is, yeah, I was in this. And history. Oh, no, they're formed. No, I remember, though. I remember when I was part of this, they always said, we are the descendants of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is where I was. 31st Panzer Grenadiers. That was me. Yeah, this was my army. Where's General Grün? I literally talked to that guy. He was like really chill. I can't even see him. Yeah, this was mine here. Yeah, I was right here. This was mine. I was in the supply company. This is me. This was my flag. Look, they still use the palm from Rommel. I used to have this everywhere, man. I still have that somewhere here. This was my symbol. Super fucking edgy, bro.
The French
Weird
western flank
shit.
was barely covered. The German tank commanders took a risk and moved forward without waiting for
That
their
was
infantry.
very weakly defended.
Allies
What
were
a...
surprised
Whoever
by the
played
German
France
breakthrough.
that time, what a
But they
mistake,
now
man.
knew that this was
Dankeschön,
the main
Dankeschön.
German attack.
Gleich fertig, ja?
They began redeploying their reserves. To time, they ordered the troops in Belgium to fall back in order to put them into a better position.
Dude, one
and free
division
up
in
some
circle. This
divisions.
is so hard for, man.
The Allies did not know whether the Germans were moving towards Paris or the Channel coast.
Oh, they didn't know if they
and
want to go
had
to Paris.
cover
Yeah, that makes
both
sense.
Directions. For that,
Oh, it's
they
really hot.
could use the 3 tank divisions located in the area. But the question was, where should they make the stand?
Well,
The
here?
French believed that the German tanks will wait for their infantry to consolidate and therefore won't be moving very fast. As a result, they believed that they had the time to prepare defensive positions on the Oise River. The German command had indeed ordered their tanks to slow down, but the German tank commanders
listen.
had ignored the orders and
So
continued
this is Heinz Guderian, right? The number 6 here? Isn't that Heinzy boy? Is your wife girlfriend German? No, she's from Zimbabwe.
to advance. They moved much faster than the French had expected, and the Germans encountered
Fucking
the
Heinz,
French
dude.
units as they were still assembling. This
Oh, now he's
caught
waiting
the
a bit, now
first
it's
French
slow.
armored division off guard, and it was destroyed, while the second division was dispersed and overrun. The 4th tank division
They're
was
just
not on the
panicking,
main
right?
axis
It's
of the German
unorganized.
advance and was able to cover the assembly of the
They
French
call them,
troops from the
is that
Paris
true, Germans? They call them der
direction.
schnelle
The German
Heinz.
tanks now needed for their
Der schnelle
infantry and
Heinz.
supplies
Fast
to catch
Heinz.
up. As a result, the advance of the German tanks slowed
By the way, I'm
down.
so scared watching shit like this on stream. Especially when I'm a bigger streamer one day, because some normie might watch this. Oh, are you celebrating Nazis? No, man. You know, it's so scary nowadays. I just care about the military stuff here, okay?
And they were
I
able
was so wrong. I thought they went like this, but they went like this.
that
This
their
reminds me
best
so
hope
hard
was
of
to attack the
for like your
German
divisions aren't
spearhead
fast enough
from
and
two
shit.
sides and encircle it.
Yeah.
However, their light mechanized divisions were still pinned down on the front, and with 2 of their tank divisions destroyed, they lacked the sufficient strength. As a result, the Allies were only able to undertake limited counterattacks. First one was
Dude, the amount of pressure these generals must have been under. Imagine you're a French general here, man, and every move could mean the death of thousands at the end of your country. The fucking pressure you must feel. Sir, this is the current situation. What are we gonna do? Oh, sacre bleu, mon amour.
by the 4th
Fuck,
tank
man,
division.
the pressure,
They didn't have
dude.
much offensive
No, Connie's super mad right now because I'm reacting to a video and I'm eating. Oh, here we go. And Heinz just goes,
soon
pop.
reached the sea. The
Holy
Allies launched
crap,
an
man.
attack at Arras, but it was only of limited success.
Wow, they have fucking
Germans
trains,
turned
man.
north with
They
the
took
intention
fucking
of
crystal
capturing
meth,
the channel
literally.
ports and cutting the Allies off from their supply.
Ah, fuck,
This
man.
move threatened the Allied units with outflanking,
And here, this is my question. Why are these guys not BAM going in and these guys BAM?
and they had to
What are you
send many
doing?
of their forces
These
in the
tank
south
divisions.
held
Jesus
their positions
Christ.
to have a chance to link up with
They
the
need to
possible
defend Paris.
counterattack from the main French lines.
Oh
The Germans
man, you
ordered
must feel
their
so
units in the
overwhelmed as a
west of
French
the
at this
pocket
point.
on defensive to meet the possible Allied
Fuck.
breakout attempt. The French were deploying forces for an attack from the south, but as more of German infantry arrived to the sector, they needed more troops. But with the troops in the north without access to supply and being threatened with encirclement,
dude.
it was impossible to wait any longer.
The Luftwaffe will
Therefore,
destroy
it was
them.
decided to evacuate the troops. They could attempt to break
Next
out.
question. Again, I'm a bit newbie at this. Explain to me. We all learned that in the Battle of Britain, the British Air Force had destroyed the German Air Force. Why isn't the British Air Force already in France destroying the German Air Force right now? Were they already being built in the next years? Or... Like, we all learned the German Air Force got fucked by the Allied Air Force. Why wasn't the Allied Air Force right here at that moment helping? They needed time. They didn't have enough planes at that point. They wanted to defend the UK. They wanted to save their planes for the Battle of UK. So, would you say that they made the decision to leave France alone?
Were leaving.
Holy
Belgian army was unable
fuck.
to resist the Germans
If you do
on
this in
its own
Hoi 4, you get
and
200,000
surrender.
views.
The Germans were able to cut off and encircle part of the
Fucking
French
hell.
forces. More than 300,000 Allied soldiers were able to be evacuated, but all of their equipment was lost. As the Allies weren't able to
And very famously, I saw in the movie, Hitler ordered them to not attack this. The German, Rundstetten, I don't want to talk shit. Some general said, attack now, we can take 300,000 people, man. And Hitler was like, no, don't do it. And a lot of historians are writing about that. For example, many suggest that it was a tactic by Hitler to maybe look for a quick peace deal. Hey, we let 300,000 people go, sign the peace deal, okay?
place it in time.
That's what I read, at
most
least.
of these Somme and Eun rivers. However, the Germans had established several bridgeheads which weakened the defense. To overcome that, the French could pull the main forces back to the next river line around
Doesn't
Paris,
this just make you
but
want to
they
play Hoi 4,
decided
man?
against it. At all
I just turned on
costs.
Hoi 4.
The Germans did not want to give France any time to recover, and as soon as part of their forces got ready, they attacked. At first, the French plan worked.
Who was the High Command of France at that time? Who was responsible? Was it Charles de Gaulle? No, it was no, wasn't he? Who was responsible for this? Jamelin. Fucking hell, you fuck up once like this, man, you go down in history, man. I listened to a news station in the car that always has... They talk about documentaries. And they talked about what happened when the Americans landed on D-Day and took back France and how everything worked in France. And it apparently was like this, that once they took Paris, Charles de Gaulle, he urged the High Command of the US, I think Eisenhower, please, Mr. Eisenhower, let the French people take Paris as a token. And I think he let them do that. And then Charles de Gaulle took Paris and called himself out as the liberator of France and the one who saved France. They were a bit arrogant towards the Americans there. And that's how Charles de Gaulle was kind of using the work of the Americans for himself and to put himself in a good position.
But the withdrawal
Shit, does he have a video about D-Day? Fuck, this video is amazing. Please tell me he has a video like this, like D-Day. Imagine you're German right here, man. You're just hanging out all day listening to the radio. He does have a D-Day video. Show me a link. Final video today? I think I want to equip the streams in the future with always reacting to stuff. Dude, look at that tank, man. He's just walking through.
At the same time, they launched attacks through the weakened line from north
He has a video about the entire war of the Eastern Front.
At the same
Dude,
time,
as a Frenchman, that must be so scary at that moment. Fuck, man.
The French in the
All this happened in 1 month.
Into a
Fucking
small
hell.
pocket, although the French were successfully resisting attempts by Italy to cross the Alps,
Fucking Italy.
they were unable to resist
Oh
Germany.
god.
2 days
I think
later.
it's always so awkward
There were
how you go
several
down in
reasons why
history
France
for your
lost the
wins and
campaign.
losses. Like, doesn't matter if you made the Roman Empire, man. You always kind of get judged on the final thing you did in history. And Italy just went down as the biggest plebs, man.
But
Oh, this is a World of Tanks, right? He's doing a sponsorship here.
to outmaneuver the French armor on operational level.
You probably learned a lot about tanks in
You
this
are
game.
wondering how it is not only
Guys, I'm posting the link, man. Show some love to this guy. It's always a privilege to react to stuff. Love the content. Subscribe. I'm subscribing. Check this guy out, man. Show some love. Great video, man. I actually learned a lot here. I learned a lot. We have one final video today. Oh, he's not talking about it. He's just doing animation. Oh, that's a bit mad. He should talk about it. Oh, he should have talked about it. Man, they just fucking went in. and fucked everyone up. I'm telling you, Steel Division should make a campaign about this era. I'll play that, man. Once again, why Hearts of Iron 2 was the best Hearts of Iron? Here's the thing, chat. All the Zoomers will not know, because you weren't born yet. In Hearts of Iron 2, there was a special game mode, which was called... It was like scenarios. What you will do is, you click on it, and there were certain scenarios. So Winter War, Finnish Winter War, Stalingrad, Eastern Front 44, D-Day. And you would click on these scenarios, and you would have a very, very zoomed in Hearts of Iron 4. For example, there would be a scenario for D-Day where you have North France, all the other stuff is deleted, you don't see Russia, blah, blah, blah. And it's very zoomed in, and it's a lot about... It was so cool, man. Like, I don't know, man. If they would have done that for Hearts of Iron 4... If I was the CEO, if I had to say anything in Paradox, I'd be like... Make a DLC, we're gonna sell it for $9.99 with a scenario. Hey, here's the new scenario. D-Day, zoomed in. Oh, Germany is getting France. Oh, they're taking Spain in a second. Does Spain have no army? Oh my god, you got the leader, boy. Wait, that was France. I'm a fucking idiot. Oh god. Don't listen to Tommy. Oh, Germans are just apart, man. Well, Russia war, right? Oh, Germany got destroyed, baby. Liberation of Paris. Yeah. This looks like what Germany did to France. I mean, if you want to be in the military in general, you probably have to really study this shit. Oh, they're paratrooping everything. Isn't that Operation Market Garden or something? Dude, they're just wrecking it. At this point, German will be like, hey, take me into your nice Western prison, man. I'm done. Fuck Hitler. I never believed him anyway. You remember when I used to talk about my favorite video game that I could make myself? A game like this. And you always, at certain points, jump inside the battle and then it's an FPS. You know, you have like a map like this, and then you jump in and there's a battle. 100 versus 100. And if you win, the front line goes here. If you lose, the front line goes here. Like a World War II MMO in a way. Where you have to eat and shit and stuff like that. Imagine like a real made game, like by a real company like this. You always jump in and it has RPG elements. You have to level your character, you have to eat, you have to smoke so your shaking goes down. There's logistics, right? If your logistics don't arrive for you, you're just out of ammo, man. Fucking man. Will never happen though. Sounds so cool though. This is Wacht am Rhein. Oh, they're even pushing through a bit. Holy crap. Dude, there was a pushback? Holy shit, look at that. I didn't even notice. Germans actually doing like the last stand here. God damn. Battle of the Bulge. Isn't that where they sang on Christmas? Where they laid down their weapons on Christmas? I know what the Battle of the Bulge. I heard of it, but now it's the first time I see it. Makes you wonder what the Nazis and especially Hitler thought at that moment. Sitting in his bunker like, ah, fuck! Ah, did I go too far? Is this over? Are we fucking losing? Oh shit! Hey, here's the crazy thing, Americans. In everything you saw right now, less people died than COVID-19 killed of your people. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking mental? That COVID-19 killed more than what you're seeing right now? The human brain can't even fucking comprehend that shit, man. Crazy that we have animations like this nowadays. Ah, you're fucking done, mate. Thank you, Izzy boy. Thank you. Stop the count. Crazy, man. I'm always a guy that wants to... I'm interested in experiences. What must it feel like as an American soldier walking through all this and then you get the message Germans capitulated? But imagine the Americans will have taken Berlin first. And now they shake hands, right? What must that feel like, man? You must feel so good. Like that party in New York that the picture's from. And this is literally how they cut Germany later, man. Could have been so different. Anyway, boys, that calls today's stream, man. We're gonna react to more videos tomorrow. I will play, I enjoyed this. Thank you for all the hardcore viewers, man. I see you tomorrow for a full 4 game. Let's bring this channel back. Okay. Thank you, guys. This guy, look at this guy here. This guy's weird, but this guy's kind of cool. Thank you, guys. I see you tomorrow. Nothing but kisses. And World of Warcraft for life. Yeah, fucking hell. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
I'm just sitting here sad. Now I'm just sitting here sad. She slipped through my fingers like sand. Heard that she got a man. Now I'm just sitting here sad.